Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Tel Aviv. Coming up in today's newscast, the U.S. is under fire for spying on Israel. India and Israel successfully launch a missile together, and Israel combats animal cruelty. I'm Natasha Kirchuk here with the latest news in Israel. The White House reportedly conducted a spying campaign against Israel earlier this year, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal.
The report claims the White House instructed American spies to eavesdrop on Prime Minister Netanyahu and other top Israeli officials. The goal was to counter Israeli campaigning against the Iran nuclear deal. The National Security Agency's spying net was cast so wide that they caught conversations Israeli leaders had with U.S. officials, which led to fears the executive branch would be accused of spying on Congress. The spying in Jerusalem included a cyber implant in Israeli networks, giving the NSA access to information in the Israeli Prime Minister's office. The White House has refused to comment on the report. Israel's intelligence minister says that Israel does not spy on the U.S. and expects the White House to uphold the same standards.
Zalman Shoval is an Israeli politician and diplomat, and he served twice as the Israeli ambassador to the United States. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So what do you think about this alleged report that the U.S. is spying on Israel? It's not the first time that the U.S. has been caught spying on foreign leaders. Is this something that's common now?
Well, all I know is from the newspapers, so I don't know, if true it is or not. But if it were true, it's certainly troubling because good friends, and we are good friends in Alice, shouldn't spy on each other, especially as the administration, I understand, 2 years ago, made assurances to Mrs. Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, that America would not spy on foreign leaders who are friends and allies. So I don't know if it's true. I hope it isn't. But if it is, as I said, it's troubling.
We all know that spying has a negative connotation. Does this mean that the United States doesn't trust Israel?
Well, I don't know. This question must be put to someone else. But, there's such a fluid exchange of views between Israel and the United States on all matters. I can vouch for that as a former ambassador, certainly on security matters and different matters. All you have to do is pose a question. Okay, you don't always answer, but you don't have to go in a roundabout way in order to get information.
So during your time as ambassador, this wasn't an issue that was confronted between Israel?
I was never informed, or nobody ever put to me any sort of information as if they were spying, certainly not from our point of view or from our side, but also not from the side of our American hosts.
How will this alleged spying affect Israeli-American relations, if it is true?
Look, there have been ups and downs in the relationship, and not just in this administration or in this government, all over the last few decades. If one reads Dennis Ross's recent book, there have been ups and downs and problems. But the basic relationship is actually not only solid, it's going up. It's even going up under the Obama administration with regards to security. With regards to security, I think the cooperation is probably better than ever before. And during the time of President Bush, the father, 39, I think, and Prime Minister Shamir, and there were really very, very serious differences of opinion about settlements and immigration from the former Soviet Union and other things. The security relationship was not negatively affected at all. So I think that's a given because the close common interest, and at this time, with ISIS all over the Middle East and terrorism and what have you, Israel as a strategic ally of the United States, and of course America as our most important strategic ally, is such an important fact that it helps us to overcome all sorts of hurdles in the relationship.
So the big question is now, how should Israel be responding to this alleged spying report?
Again, if the report is correct, if it's just a newspaper story, okay, we know every day there's another story about something. But if it is correct, then we should approach this matter through diplomatic channels. You don't do anything more drastic in a relationship as we have with America, but we can certainly complain, if we have to complain, to the appropriate people, to the appropriate channels, and things will be taken up, and we should tell our American friends, look, there may be difference of opinion. You may not like what some of us are doing, that we are talking to members of Congress, according to the press, but that's perfectly legitimate. We always did, and they always did. I mean, there are American politicians and diplomats and agents who come to the Knesset, who speak to members of Knesset. There's nothing new in that. If there's something you don't like about the message, okay, talk to us about that.
It's true. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Natasha.
Hopefully you'll come back.
Thank you.
The last surviving Hamas terrorist involved in the kidnapping of the Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit has been killed in a tunnel collapse in Gaza.
Last night, Hamas released the names of the 5 operatives who guarded Gilad Shalit during his 5-year captivity by the Palestinian terror group. 4 of the 5 have all since been killed, and the last of the Hamas kidnappers apparently died last week. Shalit was captured in a cross-border attack in 2006. He was held in Gaza until October 2011, when Israel freed more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners in exchange for his release.
There appears to be increasing support for the Islamic State within Israel's borders, and the Israeli government is concerned.
The Israeli defense establishment is worried by the growing number of Arab citizens who are involved with the terrorist group, especially Bedouins from the Israeli Negev. Last week, the Shin Bet uncovered a Hamas cell in East Jerusalem, and that very cell included an Arab-Israeli supporter of the Islamic State. And just a few days ago, the leader of ISIS threatened to carry out attacks against Jews in Israel. Israel's precarious security situation is adding to the concern. ISIS already has branches on 2 of the country's borders. They're located in Syria, just across from the Golan Heights, and in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula.
India has successfully tested the Barak 8 missile defense system, which the country jointly developed with Israel.
The Indian Defense Ministry launched its newly developed Indo-Israeli surface-to-air missile from a naval warship today. The successful test was carried out by the Indian Navy and the Israel Aerospace Industries from the INS Kolkata. India is calling the achievement a milestone in enhancing the country's anti-missile defense capabilities. The initiative seeks to augment the anti-aircraft capabilities of India's naval assets at sea.
This is a quantum jump in our anti-air warfare capability, anti-missile defense capability, and these missiles, not only this missile has been tested, but the associated systems, that is the radars and the weapon control system, everything is now proven, and these systems will be fitted in all the futuristic warships which are coming in the Indian Navy progressively.
In Israel, the Barak 8 system has already been installed on one of the Navy's Sa'ar 5 class warships. The radar that acquires targets for the system is codenamed Adir, which means tremendous in Hebrew. The Barak 8 system can reportedly shoot down targets at a range of 93 miles, and it can even tackle missiles larger than the Iron Dome system itself. Its newest version intends to defend Israel against advanced weaponry believed to be in the hands of the Hezbollah.
It looks like the Israeli Knesset is headed towards becoming fluent in Arabic. 17 lawmakers attended the inaugural lesson of the first ever Arabic course to be held in the Knesset.
Arabic is one of Israel's official languages, but many Jewish citizens do not understand or speak it. The course is part of an initiative to promote coexistence and is pioneered by joint Arab List Knesset member Basil Gattas and Likud member Norit Cohen. Gattas says he hopes the lessons will help improve the communication between the Knesset members. The course comes just a couple months after the preliminary approval of a bill which mandates all Israeli schools to teach Arabic from the first grade on.
Yesterday was a huge night for Israeli basketball star Omri Casspi. Israel's only NBA player scored a career-high 36 points for the Sacramento Kings. Simi Rieger is a famous basketball commentator and former coach in Israel, and he joins us with more. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Were you surprised to hear about Omri Caspi's magnificent night?
Shocked. 36 points is a dream night. But what happened is you have to be in the right place at the right time with the right coach. And George Karl, after 6 years of Omri being in the NBA, really likes him and gives him a lot of minutes. He gives him 38, 36 minutes a game. He got hot, and for once they really, really went to him, and he was shooting from so far out, I couldn't see the basket from where he was shooting. And not 3-point shots, 4-point shots. And then Cousins got thrown out of the game, and they went to him even more. And it's just a pleasure to watch a kid who really, I saw him grow up from 9th, 10th grade in the youth programs and really work hard, and his parents pushing him the whole way. And the kid has a work ethic that's amazing. You know, talent-wise, he's a good player, but he's not a 30, but his work ethic just pushes him. He's a great teammate. He's a great kid, and that really helps. The guys on the team like him, and they show it on the court, and that's very, very important.
So why has Omri Casspi been so successful this year compared to the last couple of years?
Because the coach, George Karl, who's a Hall of Fame coach, really understands the game and knows that you don't have to be a great scorer to be a very important person on the team. He has Cousins, he has Rudy Gay, they are the stars, Rajon Rondo, and you need people to support it. And Omri does all the little things. A lot of guys don't like guarding the best player on the other team. Omri says, give him to me, and everybody just looks at him like he's crazy, because he is crazy. It's every night, it's LeBron, it's, you know, and they appreciate that. And he's really done a good job. And George Karl, you know, he's a Hall of Fame guy, North Carolina, Dean Smith, knows everything about basketball. You can love him, you can hate him, but he's a great coach.
Is his success a good sign for the future of young Israeli basketball players?
I think so. You know, I think Omri, one of the things that I was involved with Omri was getting him the agent to get him into the NBA, and that was Leon Rose, a friend of mine who I know from many years ago. And going to the right people, knowing the right situations to be put into, it's not that simple. There are a lot of people that have a lot of talent in the NBA. There's a kid by the name of Reggie Jackson who was a backup point guard at Oklahoma. He's now a starter at Detroit. Kid's a superstar. It's getting to be in the right place at the right time, including me and you.
A lot of non-American players are now playing in the NBA, and many say it's a commercial move by the NBA to gain a larger international audience. Is that the real reason, or is there simply a gap that's growing closer between American and European basketball?
Oh, without a doubt, it's a gap that's being closed down. Everybody sees it, everybody knows it. You got superstars growing up all over the world. I mean, you got like 80 players that weren't born in America that are playing in the NBA. Dirk Nowitzki, I remember he was a 19-year-old kid that nobody ever heard of him. They discovered him at the Final Four and at a high school game. You know, you have agents, scouts all over the world. I worked as a scout in Europe for the Washington Wizards at a certain period of time. They're all over, they're looking, there are no secrets anymore. Everybody's exposed, everybody knows what's going on. South America, Australia, you know, places where players, Israel, places where players weren't involved in NBA are now being scouted all the time.
So as a coach, what would you say to the young Israeli basketball players who are trying to get into the NBA? What can they do to make their chances better?
First of all, they have to realize they have to live a sportsman-like conduct. You know, not going out, not partying, not smoking, not drugs, not alcohol, all those things that have to be done. Then working on your game, the weak things that you have in your game, not just the good things that you have in your game. Listening to the coach, showing respect, learning from all over, going to different places to learn from different things. In America, I have a 5-star shirt on here. Every summer, I bring kids to 5-star from here, so they're exposed to the great coaches in America, to the American kids. Those are things that have to happen. Kids have to be exposed to work hard. There's plenty of talent here. There's plenty of talent, surprisingly.
I don't know if that's so surprising.
I mean, you're here.
There you go, right? Well, thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
And we look forward to seeing what happens with Omri Casspi for the remainder of next year. All right, so the Israeli government is taking action to prevent animal cruelty in slaughterhouses.
The Agriculture Ministry has approved installing cameras in 49 slaughterhouses throughout Israel in an effort to prevent cruelty to the animals living within them. Over 400 closed-circuit cameras and 50 digital recording systems will be installed in the slaughterhouses. The cameras and recorders will feed into a central control room, which will be set up by the ministry's veterinary service. Doing so will ensure that the slaughterhouse's in-house inspectors are not the only ones watching the video feed. Until now, cameras were only required in cow butcheries. Now, cameras will also be installed in chicken slaughterhouses. Animal rights groups are welcoming the ministry's efforts, but many say that activists should also be able to view the footage, given the veterinary service's ongoing failure to enforce the laws against animal abuse.
It's time for our Hebrew word of the day. Animal welfare has been a major moral issue in Judaism, from the book of Genesis through the first century rabbinic sages known as the Tanaim. The Tanaim coined the Hebrew term tza'azar ba'alei chayim, which literally translates to animal sorrow. Modern Israel has since adopted this terminology in its laws regarding animal welfare. One of the biggest advocates of tza'ar ba'alei chayim was the first chief rabbi in Israel, Avraham Kook. He argued that the animal sacrifices for religious purposes should no longer take place. To learn more words in Hebrew, check out eteacherhebrew.com. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. The new year is just around the corner, but it looks like the weather won't be cooperating in Israel. Tomorrow is expected to be rainy with a high of 63 degrees, and the rain will continue into Friday with lots of wind. The temperature should drop to 54. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.89 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at ILTV.tv, and don't forget to check out our new breaking newscast every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.